3, 2,
I can't.
I'm going to go ahead. Anyway, this is just information for you guys. Thank you for coming out. First of all, I want to thank everyone who supported me. I got to know some amazing folks. It's been a wonderful experience. Fortunately, today I was met with an error in my registration process. Again, this is my first rodeo. It's my first call to politics. And so I made a mistake. I'm Sam Saxton. I was running for town council, the 4-year seat. My incumbent was Strawberry. I know that for some who are around politics, my error would probably seem obvious to them, but it was not to me. I regret to inform you all that I was withdrawn from the race for town council on technicality. Unfortunately, for those who like a good scandal, it's not a scandal. As I'm already seeing being posted on Facebook and such, it is not. So my mistake is as follows. I'm going to be 100% truthful to you because I believe that if we say truth, then the truth shall set you free. But we'll see. My mistake is as follows. This is the explanation on the paperwork to be filled with what the qualifications are. A person shall not be a member of the city or town council unless at the time of the election the person is 18 years old, is a qualified elector, residing within the town, and has resided in the city or town for at least 1 year next preceding the election. It goes on and on and on. My mistake was not defining qualified elector. I assume, you never assume, right? It's an ass on you and me. That's what I was always told. But I assumed that qualified elector was being defined residing within the town for a year and having to be 18 years old. Like, well, I'm living and breathing and I meet those qualifications, so let me turn in my paper. My disqualifying mistake was that I had failed to carve out time for my busy schedule to actually register to vote. Stupid, undersight, but there again, that's what it is. Again, a failure on my part, and for those who are going to vote for me, I apologize sincerely to you for my negligence. This is an error on my part, and it kills me to have to step away from this endeavor I was excited about. I have a ton of ideas and plans to make Quartzsite a year-round revenue building town. Even though it is a huge disappointment, you do not have to see the last of it. I'll be finding other ways to help this community grow. We need industry, we need housing, we need career jobs, and we need rural development. I personally already sketched out plans to build family apartments here in Quartzsite, to find land investors to help bring more small to mid-sized family housing developments, need homes for our community. Most of the folks that work in town live in the surrounding towns and live here every day. We need to change that. That was one of my goals, that was one of my dreams. Like I said, I've already sketched out plans, and pictures and everything, and I've already talked to investors to help bring that to Quartzsite. But again, you have not seen the last of me. Again, I apologize sincerely that it was just a technicality on my part, and I hope that you guys will promote Don Day. I believe he and I stand on the same principles. So he's a writing candidate as well. He needs all the love and votes that he can possibly get. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I wasn't sure how to do the order of answering questions, so we're just going to put all of their names and just pick one. I'll go first.
Randy Smith.
Randy will go first. And then each question will just alternate. Okay? Yeah, not yet. So second. Because the questions are going to be a little harder for Carrie. Carrie, a second.
Don Day. That's awesome.
All right. So yeah.
I just.
Okay. So if you would, please tell us a little about yourself and what makes you feel as though you're uniquely qualified to be on the town council.
Right, well, I'm Randy Smith. I
Can
have
you
never
just take
run.
it off when you're talking?
Randy Smith, I've never run for office before. This is the first time I just try and see what it's like.
Is it okay now?
Yeah, there you go. I'm used to public speaking. My background is nursing. I retired from nursing and corrections in California. I've been nursing most of my career. When I moved to Hawaii, I retired. I came over here to Quartzsite, and I worked at the town for a little bit, but not too long, about 6 months. When I completely retired, I decided to do something else. So I did two things. One, I put myself on the ballot to run for office, and the second is I am now the morning manager at the casino over next to the Family Dollar store. What's my unique thing I bring to the thing? I think probably that is structure. I'm a veteran. I know all about structure. Military, you have to be very structured. In corrections, in hospitals and nursing, you have to be very structured. My last 5 years, I was a nursing supervisor for all the nurses, all my unit, which was ASU at the prison, in the psych department. So I know all about structure, how to have unity, and how to supervise people. I also think that because I've never been in politics before, I'm not bringing any kind of baggage to the job. I'm not bringing any bad habits of politics. I'm open-minded, and I'm willing to learn with everybody and how to do my job.
Here.
Good evening, my name is Carrie Hammond. I have been a resident of the town of Quartzsite for 10 years. I have been on the town council for a year and a half. I arrived there because I was dissenting the town council and the way the town government was run. In a year and a half, I went to every blessed meeting that was held in this town, as well as the supervisors' meetings and town council meetings in Parker. The things that I learned in that year and a half of note-taking, people thought I was a spy. I was actually just writing notes, trying to learn what government was all about. Everything I learned in that year and a half convinced me that most of my dissents and bad opinions were unfounded and didn't have any basis in reality. A year and a half of working on this town council, I have learned a lot of things about government and about people. The point I want to make is that I have been very proud of the work that this town council has done and your previous town council in getting things fixed in this town and moving things forward. And I'd like to be able to continue in that. I'm just going to rattle off a little list of things that I'm proud of having done here in this town. We have opened a new grocery store. We've opened a casino and storage facility. We've opened 3 coffee shops. We have full-time discount grocery. The expansion of A&B tools, the approval of propane and RV sales business, approval of the fuel station that's related to the pilot. We have plans to rebuild Love's convenience store, plans for convenience and services on Dome Rock, Tesla expansion. We acquired pilot tire service stores, 7 new homes I've watched being built in this house in the last 2 years. Internet tower and services. We completely rebuilt the water treatment plant and manhole cover project, for which we received state awards from the state of Arizona for the best projects in the state of Arizona. We're talking Quartzsite with this. We put in new sidewalks and boulevard plantings. We refurbished the motel. Shaded spaces to sit and rest and the planting on Main Street. Newly surfaced roads and crossroads. Newly community building expansion. Several newly acquired police vehicles, newly acquired utility department vehicles, acquired equipment for the utility department. We have a contract with senior housing or the senior center for a generator cooling system, and the approved plans for the Peace Trail system. We did an expansion of the dog park, an expansion of the Flyers Club area, 2 successful Buck Hunter Days events. We created a Quest board. We started the Special Products LLC. We started searching for new water well project. We cleaned up the lighted areas in town. I'm proud of this. It's been a lot of work, and I'd like to be able to continue for the next couple of years and get this working.
Good evening, I'm Don Day. Been in Quartzsite 30 years. And been here as a business owner. I manage an RV park. Got a daughter, beautiful daughter, through high school, through elementary school, kindergarten, all right here in Quartzsite. I'm a veteran, I'm a cancer survivor. My wife is a business owner here. I'm retired at this time. I kind of got into this because I wasn't happy with what the council was doing. There is no representation for the people, the property owners here. And sure, I hear about all this good stuff that the town council has done, but I didn't hear any representation for the people. We need to start looking out for the people and start making Quartzsite a little bit better and a little more attractive to the snowbirds, the potential people that are coming to live here, and for business. We need the industry. We need to offset our tax. I'm new to this game. I don't know. I just don't like what's going on, and I think we need to change some of this. And I want to be the one to help change it. I'm here for a light-in, 4-year, and I'm not going to bend over and just fall down and play dead. I don't cave in easily. So I'm here for the people, for everybody that needs some help, and I'd like to listen to all the problems and situations. I think we need help, and I'm going to help them. I'm here for the community, I'm here for Quartzsite, and I'm here for the people. Thank you.
My name is Dennis Fosfer. I'm running for Town of Quartzsite 2-year town council. What makes me qualified for this, well, some of my background right now, the general manager of both the radio stations here in town. We've got K-Box, Classic Oldies, as well as KCNL, which is Q105, doing Classic Rock. I've been doing that for 2 years. Prior to that, I actually did sales for the radio station from my home at Oceanside. So I've been connected here at Quartzsite since about 2009. And that's when I first started doing some distance sell here in the local market. So I have a lot of, got a pretty good feel for the town itself. I've learned a lot just living here. I have 5 kids. My wife and I have been married for 25 years, coming up this October. And we're successfully raising our 5 kids. We homeschool our kids. All 5 of our kids, so the ages 13 to 20, all 5 kids still give us a hug and a kiss before going to bed. So I think for parents to be able to accomplish that, I think I can take on town council. I think we can get along. So that's part of where I'm coming from with that. So again, some other areas I've got experience in. Managed businesses in the past, but a business owner as well. And I think most importantly though, and one thing that I find missing with the town of Quartzsite and other towns in particular is a constitutional lens. I think a lot of what we see going on in politics today has a very progressive edge to it. And I believe we have come to a position that is negative as a result. So as a town council member, my first lens that I will look towards anything with is the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. I believe that governments were instituted. Our government, the town government, next city, the state, was instituted specifically to protect and not infringing upon each of our rights. So again, my lens as a representative for you will be the U.S. Constitution for every decision I make. And together, I think Quartzsite can do better.
Okay, so you guys are welcome to come up to the. You guys are welcome to come up to the podium to answer the question. For the shorter questions, if you want to just grab the mic, say the same thing, you're welcome to do that. It's completely up to you. So the second question, we'll start with Carrie Ann. And it's, if the governor, pardon me, issues a state mandate and leaves it up to the individual mayors and towns, would you vote to strictly enforce that mandate, even if it's not within the Constitution? Like, would you enforce the mask? Would you enforce vaccinations upon your town? Would you vote for that?
My personal stance is that I believe masks are necessary to get a handle on what's going on with our health in this nation. As a council member, I would agree with Mr. Ducey's, Governor Ducey's mandate. The town, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, has determined that it should be left to individuals, their legal enforcement. We highly recommend it because that's what the federal government and the CDC is recommending.
If the mandate is constitutional, you should go through. But if it's not constitutional, I'm not going to stand up for it and vote for it.
Can you repeat that? I don't think everybody heard. Can you answer that?
If it's constitutional, I'm for it. But if it's just a mandate that is a regulation, no, I'm not for it.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, you'll need to turn it on.
Okay. Well, since I'm a nurse, obviously, I believe the mask is important. We also wear it. I'm actually very disappointed that everybody here is not wearing a mask. I think I'm going to say that, but I think that it's very important that we all wear one. And if the governor asks us to, I think we can stand by the governor and ask us to protect everybody here, especially since there's so many people here that are senior citizens and die easily from virus. I just moved my mother here back in January. I strongly don't want to be the one that gave it to her because I was too, I don't know, I just didn't want to be the one. And to die because of it, that's just terrible. So I care about every single person that lives here, and I want to be safe and healthy. That's the way our community's going to grow. So I would go with the government if he said to wear a mask, and I think we also would.
I think it's probably pretty clear on that front. If the government mandates anything that's unconstitutional, I would not stand up for that. In particular with the masks, I believe there's science on all sides of that issue. If grandma's going to die, it's because it's going to go through the mask. It goes through the mask. The mask is, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. But I don't think a mandate on anybody is appropriate. And as far as vaccines, especially, clearly a medical issue, and then for the government to force a medical procedure on me is accurate. So I would oppose forced mandated masks or vaccines.
So due to the current pandemic, the economy of the entire world has been affected. Revenue generated in the winter could be lower than normal due to this, as well as, from what I've heard, the increase in sales tax. What ideas do you have to make Quartzsite more appealing to new and returning vendors such as the Big Ten and Gym Show, as well as to new visitors in Quartzsite?
Carrie Ann speaking. The town has been vigilant in putting up new tourism brochures. We have been working very hard to make sure that everybody in the county is realizing that the Paz County and the town of Quartzsite is up and ready for business. We're already receiving from information from town RV parks that reservations are coming in January. The town government has funded everything that we need to do so that we're prepared when these people come in. We're for the winter visitor, we're for the vendors. We're trying to do the best we can to encourage people to come and participate in this.
I don't have any real ideas on how to enhance the snowbirds coming in. I think that, okay, do you have all that? I don't have any real ideas about how to enhance the snowbird situation. I think we need to have a little more things for the snowbirds to do, something to attract them. I think the senior citizens are doing a great job with their dancing and things like that. And I think the QIA is doing a great job. As far as the vendors go, I think that we've got too many regulations and rules. And I believe that when you have to go by your permit, I think the permits are too high. They're having a hard time making as it is without the snowbirds, and they're not selling the stuff that they're doing. So I think that we need to lighten up a little bit on the bidders, and I believe that we need to make things a little more attractive.
Well, I feel that the vendors need to come back. How to get back? I think that fees are too high, and we're able to come back. But as far as the virus goes, and people being afraid to come back, it's all about education. You have to educate people on what to do and how to protect themselves, and how to wear the mask, and wash your hands, and social precautions, and to be there for each other in our neighborhoods. I personally do not want to see my park die off because people don't want to wear a mask. They just get the virus because people in the town don't want to. They just want to go around spreading. I think that education is the most important thing about all the signs. I love the casino. We have a sign that says that you must wear a mask, and it's very important. And we believe that we need to protect each other.
Thanks, Phosphor again. I think the good thing to really focus on is the snowbirds are very important, obviously, to our economy. But getting a year-round economy, Sam Saxon focused on that, but that was a key thing is focusing on getting those year-round businesses. A lot of people don't know, actually, a lot of people do know, years past, there's been quite a few opportunities that have been passed on, where large companies wanted to come and build here, or we have distribution centers here. The main thing that was said at that time was, my understanding is that it was because our sewer system couldn't handle it, or we didn't have other housing and things like that. And as Carrie pointed out, the town has got the sewers taken care of, so our water and sewer is on track. So as we move forward, I think it's going to be important for us to really keep an eye and track large businesses back to Quartzsite, particularly for the snowbirds. One of the things I'm looking to do, I would like to see the sales tax lowered. I know about 5.6% goes to the state, 2% to the county, and 2.5% to Quartzsite. I think one of the things that hinders our sales here is our tax rate. So getting that at least under 10% is going to encourage additional sales here. Something that might be considered radical to some, I heard. I would like to take business licenses fees, the business license fees, as well as business permit fees. Eliminate them. Yes, get the permit, get the business license, and encourage tax revenues. I think a big thing when you do, we scared off a lot of our vendors years ago, our companies as well. We have a lot of places that are closing. We need to make Quartzsite a friendly place to do business again, and to eliminate the business license and permit fees. I think it's the place to start, and then lowering the sales tax to below 10%. Another thing I've got in the works for myself, like I said, at the radio stations, and talked to two gentlemen earlier. One of the things they said to me was that the radio stations bring them back to a place that they once were growing up in their life. And it brings back those memories, and that's why a lot of people come to Quartzsite. So snowbirds are here to feel the past, to remember. And one of the things I have in mind, I don't know how soon I can do this, but the radio stations we have in mind is to bring back the bands that are on tour again. And I have not talked to the Big Ten, so I can't say anything about that. But an idea would be to have a week or two or a month's worth of concerts featuring these bands. So going back to entertainment, Quartzsite used to be fun. There were air balloon runs, music. It was happening. So there were some elements that we're never going to have it exactly what it was in the past. But I think we can carve into the future a very fun and exciting Quartzsite. Thank you.
If elected to the town council, what are some steps you would take to prevent the demise of Quartzsite and put Quartzsite on firmer financial footing without raising taxes because all of the taxpayers are broke?
Well, flash, all the taxpayers aren't broke. This town is in very good shape. We have paid out hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. That's part of becoming the town that we're intending to be. Would you repeat part of the question again, please?
I'll repeat it entirely. What are some steps that you would take to prevent the demise of Quartzsite, put Quartzsite on firmer financial footing without raising taxes?
Quartzsite is not having a demise. Quartzsite is growing by leaps and bounds. All the records that we took in and all the reports that were given this last year say that the vendors had a very good year last year. I know there's people in town who have other reports and don't believe that, but the official report was that everything's going well. This town is not going down the tubes. This town is moving forward. Financially, we're on very good footing. We're solvent. That word solvent means we have the money to pay the bills that we're currently looking at, and then we have reserves held back to look at long-term debt getting paid. This town has done an amazing job of taking care of the financial mess that we were in 15 years ago. Nobody even recognizes the town records anymore. So have a little more faith. We're working real hard on getting new businesses coming into town. We'll have applications from business people. I think you're getting a lot of bad information if you think the town's on demise. We're on the rise, and we're headed for something really beautiful and successful.
I'm not sure who's making the town successful, other than the people and property owners here. I think we're all being overtaxed. I think the snowbirds are being overtaxed. And there's like our water, we're supposed to look into our water. The water still smells, tastes bad. I don't drink it. I wish I owned part of the water company. Anyhow, I think that's one of the problems. And I still think we need to drop the taxes. And if the town is in that shape, then we are helping ourselves. Thank you.
I would want to see the vendors go way down. Okay, so. And I want to see the vendors go way down, not as many as before when I first moved to this area in 2007. A lot of vendors. Now there's hardly any, 75% less. I don't really know the reason. I've heard that it's the landowners were upping their prices and they're just being greedy and they're charging too much to the vendors. I think we need to lower the prices so vendors can come here out better. The vendors get a break on that. And personally, I mean, I don't own land here, but I would think giving something would be better than giving nothing because look over by Burger King, there was nobody over there this last year. And that needs to be full. Maybe that landowner who owned that area would have got some money who voted his price. So I think that's the main thing to attract vendors here, is to lower their price. As far as not raising taxes, I personally mind paying taxes, have to pay for, you know, everything that we need in this country, so I'm okay with it. But I don't really know what else I could do to raise the money for the town. We just need the vendors, and we need to encourage growth and encourage businesses to come
I want to acknowledge that. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie, Councilman Hammond is 100% correct. The budget that I've seen too is the town is doing fantastic. The budget, there's a surplus, which is good news. Because directly to this question here, we can lower the taxes now because we have a surplus. We've got plenty of things going on, so I agree with that. We're on track there. Some of the things that we can do to help the demise is down. Lots of hardware store. We've seen a lot of business close. Even the mayor's restaurants are facilitated. Come on, this place is, it's not thriving like it needs to thrive. So one of the ideas I have that I think it wasn't my idea. I borrowed this from Ham Staples from UTV rental place. He suggested a revitalized downtown, working towards return to a two-lane road in the main downtown area, so we have more parking again, and encourage business owners, not by force, but by encouragement, to go in and create different things that will be appealing to people once again in the downtown Main Street type theme. So having that two-lane road, slowing the traffic down, so that they're having parking, so our businesses can get the folks stopping and spending money. And again, we get the sales tax down, and again, to get those vendors coming back, and get rid of the fees, just collect the taxes. Thank you.
All right. If Quartzsite was given an additional $1 million grant to spend however the town deemed most important for Quartzsite, how would you spend that money, and how would you include the residents of Quartzsite in that decision?
One thing I've learned being in government, $1 million is not a lot of money. If you remember one of the town council meetings we had, I was making a motion to pass the budget monthly payroll of $1,673,000, and I couldn't make my mouth say those words. I think what this town needs is things for our families and our citizens. The first thing I do is put in a swimming pool. I think we need a swimming pool. I think we need a splash pad. I think we need, as a town, to get over the idea that the town's not responsible for our school. For some reason, we need, as a town, to support our school. And if it means that's where $1 million would go, that's the first thing I do, is fix and get our schools up and running. It's very important.
I definitely agree. We need to get our schools up and running again. We need to think about the young people. We need to take them up to swimming pool. We need things to retain the people that are here. Keep the young kids here. Keep our families together. Keep them here in Quartzsite to help Quartzsite live. We need the younger people. So yeah, put us on board for both the schools and the education.
I actually agree with both of them. I think that giving the kids something to do here is very important. A pool or some kind of water park would be the best thing that we could do. On top of maybe trying to fix our water system in the town. I think the water system is terrible. Giving kids something to do and I'll go to the pool. I mean, it's so hot. I'll go there every day. So I think that would be great. They build up the parks so much. In the town a long time.
I'll go forth that. I've heard from many people over the 2 years I've been here so far. A public swimming pool is hands down talked about as being one of the most. I do agree with Randy. The water park aspect needs to be included as well. We need some water slides. More importantly, I think what this question points out, we're talking about $1 million grant. Once again, we're talking about expecting to get some money from the government, free handout. We need to bring business back. We need to get tax revenues, the tax rates down, make it exciting, make it attractive for business owners again, so that we can raise the money on our own, so we don't have to worry about grants. Our town is too dependent, our county is too dependent on grants. We need to get back to making changes. Thank you.
Okay, lastly, would you just take a few minutes to expand on why you feel you're the best town council?
Well, that's a little deceptive. I don't know if I can say I'm the best candidate to be on town council. What I'm telling you is that I've learned to cooperate. I've learned to listen. I've learned to categorize. I've learned to put things in order as to the importance of what's going on. I'm a person just like you. I'm the same person you sit next to in church, the same person you sit next to in a restaurant. I'm just Carrie Hammond. Graduated from high school, spent 17 years waiting tables. I was lucky enough to end up in some real estate business. So I was a landlady for about 20 years. There's a learning experience for you. You learn to listen. You learn to have compassion. You learn to look at somebody's situation and try to figure out the best that you can do to help. I'm very proud of this town. I think we've come a long way, and I really hope to spend the next couple of years working to finish up the projects that we've got started.
I'm very proud to be here to stand also. And I'm thinking we could do so much more if we work together. But at the same token, we have to look at all sides. You gotta look at the top, the bottom, all sides. And just because Dennis likes it, doesn't mean I have to like it. And I'm not gonna go along with everything he has to say. So I'm thinking, I want to have talk with people and find out a table. And then we'll go forward. Like I said, look at all sides, see what's best for the town.
I would say because I am a team leader and I work with the team, I understand how to work with the team, and I can be a big asset to the town because I understand how to work structure and how to work with other people. Also, I want to help everybody in town, not just business owners, but everybody who works in town, and that I will be there for everyone.
Well, you could say I'm going to be the best listener, but my wife typically tells me that might not be the case. What I can say is, I think I'd like to go back to the fact of this is where I'm choosing to make my home. I've got my 5 kids. We're planning, we're 2 years already. This is where we want to be. This is where we want to see changes that are productive and positive. And going to less government and more enterprise is the direction that I would go. And I think key thing for me is remember where you're going to the polls, principles, constitutional principles. I'm not going to sway from those. Those principles have worked for over 200 years. Those principles are fair, they're equitable, and they're good. They're morally right. Not for more taxation either. I mean, taxation is theft in almost every case. So with that, I think the ideas I bring to the table, we've got good experience here in town. I get along with everybody, even when I disagree. Even Carrie, we disagree differently, but we get along great too. We are good friends, even though we disagree. So I will stick with the principles and on August 4th, that's the vote for me. Thank you.
I did say that was it, but since some of you are 2-year and some of you are 4-year, would you just announce your name and which, if it's 2-year or 4-year?
Carrie Hammond, I've been on the town council for 1.5 years as an appointed member, and I hope to be the 2-year voted in member.
Don Day, write-in, 4-year.
I'm Randy Smith, and I'm for the 2 years.
Dennis Fosper, and I'm a two-year town council.
Sorry, the other candidates didn't join. I don't know why they didn't join. But thank you all for doing this. Is there any, we have a few minutes if anybody has any questions?
Okay, I have one for all of you.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I'll let that guy know.
I don't need it. So I come from Seattle, Washington. Okay, we all know what chalk is. The taxes up there are 10%. So when I come down here, oh gosh. I came from Seattle, Washington, Bellevue, Washington, to make my home Quartzsite. But when I came to Quartzsite, Arizona, it's not going to Florida, Mississippi, southern states, raising California. The taxes up there in that area are 10%. I was a little thrown off that our little town had such high taxes. So, how does that make you feel to be?
Welcome to Quartzsite. Taxation is not theft. Everything you have today comes from the taxes that are received from its citizens. I went through a period where I was into metaphysical, and the best thing I learned there was to pay your bills with a grateful heart. Be thankful that you're able to put money in to make the town better, to make the county better, to make the state better, and to make this world better. It's a privilege to pay your tax. Stop fussing about it. There's only 3,000 people here, and we have high dreams and big hopes for this town. And the way it's going to get accomplished is by using your tax money to get that done. So be grateful that you are able to pay taxes.
Question: if there's force behind taxation, what's it? If you don't pay your taxes, what happens? You go to jail. Taxation is theft. So as far as the tax rate, I think we can put this down. Looking at the numbers, I think it's going to encourage more productivity to get that sales tax down. Deuce and Holly, I think one of the things I would, as a council member, I'd start talking to y'all too, that is the county's taking 2%. And finding ways, obviously, it's going to require more industry. It has going to have to require additional sales. So I think these are areas we can reduce these taxes. And definitely a starting point is if we're under 10% would be a good start.
Everybody needs to pay the taxes, but not everybody can afford the taxes that we have. There are people that are on limited income. I think we need industry here. We need to generate money, and it doesn't happen to some people.
And do I agree with you?
Thank you.
Well,
I think that we need to be bringing this here. We need to have businesses come here so we can lower the taxes. I don't mind paying my taxes because I realize that's what makes the town and the country grow. Without taxes, we would not have any of the stuff that we have. And taxes actually pay for everything that we have in this town and in the county. So if we could lower taxes, it's great. Like if we could do it by bringing in businesses, bringing in different stores and vendors and raise money that way, that's good. But you know, I personally don't mind paying a little bit more tax if it's going to help my friends and my neighbors in this town.
And one more thing. I am not against paying taxes. I think that's great, but my comparison is those cities have everything you need in them. You do not have to travel to get your clothes. You do not have to travel to be entertained and to come to a small town. I don't mind paying taxes, I do. But I'm saying that Quartzsite doesn't have a lot in the little town to be paying such high taxes. You know, I would ask, where's the money?
I would say you can't have it both ways. Part of the charm of Quartzsite is the fact that we don't have a lot of businesses and a lot of stores. Yet when you need shopping, you need to go somewhere. I think most of the people who came to Quartzsite came here because of what Quartzsite is. Certainly we need to have some change. But if you're looking for shoe shopping and clothes shopping and car shopping and furniture shopping, maybe you should live in the town of Quartzsite.
I love Quartzsite, by the way.
I think people are coming to Quartzsite, the snowbirds and better because of what Quartzsite was at one time. And Quartzsite is not what it used to be. And so now we have to make changes. We have to allow for the changes that are coming and the changes that we can do. And that's for the snowboard, for the snowboards, and the victims. And these are several people in the industry that we do. We definitely need the industry here. And the only way we're going to get younger people now and people who help this town is with the industry.
Well, I personally actually like that this town doesn't have a whole lot in it. Gives you a chance to get out of town. I don't mind going up to Parker or even going to Phoenix or not much in Blythe. I lived in Blythe for about 9 years, so I know there's not much there either. But I know we're not going to get, Sears and the big mall and all that stuff. And I wouldn't want it. I think it would move to this town. I moved to this town because I like that it's just small and it's plain, and we don't have a whole lot here. And it's, it's kind of isolated. I like that. And I think that a lot of other people like it too. And we all know that it's a treat and it's a day to go someplace. It's a day to get out of town. And like if I go to Park or if I go to Phoenix, I just spend the whole day there. So it's my out. And I think a lot of us like that, enjoy that, and want to come back to just a small town where we can live and not have a bunch of hustle and bustle.
Well, obviously some clarifications important. There are some taxes, the sales taxes area, obviously there's going to be some sales taxes. When I talk about theft, we're talking property tax, income tax. Clearly, if the government's going to arrest you or you're going to lose your house in this force, that's a problem. But for taxes, when you buy a major ticket item, where do you buy it? Somewhere's got high taxes or low taxes. You go to every one of us, and don't give me no crap. You go to where it's low. I do. So another idea that I have that I don't know if it's feasible, if I could not run this past anybody, but say large ticket items. We sell RVs here in the wintertime, right? So Quartzsite takes 2.5%. Well, what if on RV sales, large tickets? What if we only take 0.5%? So right now we have RVs, when they're sold, a lot of these RVs are delivered out of state because they can avoid the sales tax here. So lower the sales tax on those large ticket items and get the cars purchased here, RVs. So that, again, there are a lot of things we get, but we can get some stuff from the taxes. Get the taxes under 10%. I think it's a good place to start. But we can go lower. Thank you.
I have a question stirred up by what Dennis, you mentioned lowering taxes. Quartzsite doesn't reap any benefit from property taxes other than what goes to the fire department, the schools, the college. So the sales tax is a primary I'm not saying the only, but it's a primary revenue source for Quartzsite. So if we lower the taxes, what type of funding are you talking about for supporting Quartzsite and the services Quartzsite offers? If you look around the state, Quartzsite at 10.1% sales tax is not that much higher than just about anywhere else in the state. So if you want to lower the vendor fees and the business license in Quartzsite are a lot cheaper. And I've been to many council meetings where I've argued against raising permit fees. That's kind of a personal vendetta for me. But I've come to realize in my research that places all over the state, even small towns, when they have events, their vendor permits, their business licenses are typically higher than Quartzsite. And those funds also fund Quartzsite. So I understand the argument of lowering fees to encourage people to be here, but the town has to support itself somehow. So what would be your substitute for if you lower those taxes?
I appreciate the question, Nancy. Thank you. This is already the councilwoman Anna already says we have a surplus. So there obviously be a transition. And we're talking going from 10.1% to 9.9%. Initially, we're not talking about a large amount. When it comes to the business license fees and the permit fees, if I'm not mistaken, the budget reports us to be about 75,000. So yes, the 75,000. And you can go back 2 council meetings ago. We were talking about a water. They're going to not do a water increase this round, and they're going to save 52,000. So in the big scheme of things, you know, that was the cost per taxpayer on that was $4
$1.92
per month. Yes. So the savings. So when we're talking about getting rid of the 75,000, the amount of money that's going to come from additional people coming back to Quartzsite. The idea is to make Quartzsite the place to do business again. To bring them back the vendors who left. This is to announce to the nation, come to Quartzsite, we're serious about doing business. And the difference that we're going to make up in the tax revenues from sales tax will far outweigh the amount that we're going to lose from the 75,000 business license and permit fees.
You said that the last year that the town brought in a new internet service. Is that Fastnet? Was it very strong net and very good customer service? And did we buy boxes for nothing? Are they coming back? Are they gone? Are they dead? They never signed the door.
Always over.
We don't have anything to say about who brings businesses into town. If there's a business application and they have to fill out all the forms that they have to meet our criteria, we can't turn them down. We're not responsible for what kind of a business they give you. We are responsible for the opportunity to give businesses a chance to start in town.
Yeah, but is there any way we can find anything out about whether we're going to have that service or not?
Call them up.
They don't answer.
Town doesn't know what's going on with businesses. We
I'm
don't know
in
what's
direct
going on.
contact with the president company. So the current situation, they've had a snafu. Okay, so in order to get their network put together, they had 13 different portable solar-powered units across the desert. So when the rains came last season, or towards the middle of winter, it knocked out the infrastructure. So it was not the best of planning on their part. So whatever that happens there is fine. But now the next phase they're doing now, they are in the process of getting a feed out of Blight coming out of Cunningham Mountain. And if you all notice, when you drive by the facility, there are 2 new dishes underneath of their tower up at the top. So the process is moving forward. It did not give you a specific time frame, but they will be back on, and they will be providing actual fast internet service. I agree 100%. They don't even answer all my calls. I've got their cell number, so I agree with you. So I would encourage everybody to pass on emails, phone calls, and say, please improve your customer service, because I agree with you.
I have a question about industry. I've heard it said industry in town, it's a small town. We don't want it to become a big bustling town like Phoenix or Buckeye, whatever. But this town exists because of industry. It exists because there was a gold industry at the time, a rock, quartzsite industry, and then now we've got trucking industry. So my question would be, what kind of industry would you think that will fit Quartzsite that wouldn't detract from the small town feel, but would also give us a year-round resident and career jobs for our families?
Like you mentioned, trucking, this would be a really good spot to put in a depot for a trucking company. We can go north, east, south, and west here. This is a good spot right here for a trucking company, for either UPS or one of the other bigger outfits. This would be a prime spot.
I happen to have been involved with the people, the John Ditch crew that came in and put in our new water treatment center. That was the first thing he said to me. Quartzsite doesn't understand that you're in exactly the most beautiful situation you could find yourself in, being in a crossroads of major highways. And his indication was that we should be opening warehousing, a place where semi-trucks who can't meet these standards in California can stop and trade trailers. All that thing has been discussed and it's in the works. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. I agree with you. We need industry, we need some big business. So we got to start at the beginning.
Well, I think that everybody here has the right idea. I think trucking would be the best bet as far as people goes. But I also think if we can encourage maybe a solar plant around here. We have a lot of deserts. If we get solar in, that would be really good.
And that brings up a good point too, that I spoke earlier about, my understanding is correct. We did have a large Walmart distribution center, I think it was about 500,000 square feet that was going to come in out near exit 19, but at the time, because the water system and the sewer, so moving back that direction is correct. Several others have talked to Mike Myers here, he's talked to a couple of companies that trying to strike up that interest of that distribution here, so that we would have the ground. The solar farm, Deuce, was that, you guys were talking about the county, where is that one going to be located at, the largest in the nation? Can we get some tax revenue from that in Quartzsite?
Well, it has a tax period. Yeah.
Hi, I have a question for you guys. Are all of you aware of what the tax rate is for Quartzsite? Because you're all talking, we're gonna lower it and everything. It's 2.5% tax rate. The rest additional goes to the county. So when you're voting for the county, ask them questions about why it's so high. 13.2 is for our transient. The reason I know this is I do taxes. And so I'm aware of those things. And what I asked you is that how big a pie do we need to cut out for Quartzsite by lowering the taxes?
Yeah, I didn't hear the end of your question.
What I forget too. I hit 50 and I can't remember. So if you were to lower the taxes from 2.5, what would you suggest that should be?
I wouldn't suggest that at all.
Don?
No, I'm not up on that stuff, so I think
Here we go.
I don't think that taxes should be lower. I think we need to pay our taxes to contribute to the town.
I'm all for them paying all the extra taxes personally. Please do. Lowering taxes is important. Of course, the overall tax rate is 10.1% for the sales tax. I would like to talk about lowering the property taxes at times as well. Lower taxes is good for all of us. So it is, yes, 2.5 for Quartzsite, 2% goes to the county, 5.6 goes to the state of Arizona. 2.5 is Quartzsite, 2% is the county, 5.6. Well, Google's broken for me. Those are the numbers I got. So it's so the 2.5. I think just giving it, it's a starting point. I think this is going to be it's a variable. It's a transition because we lower these things, to make business attractive again. As we get more businesses coming in, we can continue to lower that sales tax rate. My goal would be to get it, even if it's 9.9, it's a psychological thing when people make a purchase. We need to get it below that 10%. You got it 10% of the state. I don't want to get 10% of the state. So getting it below that and as low as possible. Go down to 0.5%. As low as we can go. But starting is to get it below 10.1. So for Quartzsite, getting it down to 2.3. Right out of the gate would be my goal. So for Quartzsite, I'm starting with Quartzsite for me.
Okay. 13.2 is the the state of Arizona has made it that amount, okay? So when we do the taxes, the largest amount of income is going to be from our hotels and for our RV parks and those kind of things. How do you approach that?
So I might have mistaken, so we were talking sales tax, we were talking state sales, or state income tax, or?
No, 13.2 is for transit law. So anything over 29 days, there is no sales tax on it. If you're here for less than 29 days, then you are considered a transit. So that is your hotel tax, that is your RV park tax. If they stay over that 29 days, then it's actually deductible. So.
And I would say, I have not researched that, and so I'm not going to address it until I research that.
I would just ask that, you want to go over council, I think the next meeting you have, just familiarize yourself towards those things, you know, because everybody can say, I'm going to lower taxes. You know, we want
Are you for lowering taxes?
no.
You want to vote higher taxes, don't vote for me. That's, I'm not recommending. Lower taxes if you want to vote for me.
I'm not saying that I want them raised. I'm just saying that our town is not receiving them. And that you need to be educated on those lower taxes. I can see.
I think we can do it with lowering taxes.
I think progressively it might be like that, and I would like to see your viewpoint of how to do it.
When it comes to that particular tax, I will look at that. Thank you.
I would like to equate the taxes to your own personal finances. 2.5% or 2% is next to nothing as far as what this town receives. How would you like to be working for $7 an hour? Look at it that way. Yes, we're paying 10% tax, but it's all going somewhere else. It's going to the companies we work for. It's going to everything else. But you, the worker, are working for less than $12 an hour. So look at taxes that way. How does it look at my kitchen table? Would I work for $7 an hour? Well then, how can you lower taxes and expect the town to survive on less than that?
All right, well, thank you all.
Thank Lisa for hosting this event. I was leery to come basically because I'm not a political person. I've never run for government before. It's the last thing in the world I wanted to do. So this was a little preoccupied. Thank you very much.
Carrie,